Hi everyone, I'm BJ Muir from JesusHelpMeParent.com, and I coach families just like yours to use a heart-based approach to parenting to find practical solutions that bring real and lasting change to the hearts of your kids and families. Now, if you've got a kid who struggles with anger management strategies and seems to go from 0 to 10 real fast in their emotions, this video is just for you. I've got a free resource linked in the description down below that you can grab right now, and this video is going to show you how to use one of the 6 tools in that resource, the emotion scale. Now, in our last video, we talked about how anger is kind of like our heart's smoke detector. And we told a story and talked about how our heart has this emotion called anger that comes to it, and anger is just a signal. It's not good, it's not bad, it's what we do with anger that's going to change that fact. But it's kind of like a smoke detector. Anger is great for telling you there's a problem, but you need other tools to help you solve that problem. And if you want to hear that story, you can head over to that video by clicking on the link in the description box. But in this video, I want to help you move from just identifying, oh, I'm angry, to understanding where your child is on that scale and helping your kid get to the point where he or she can identify where they are on that scale. Because if a child can know where they are in their own emotions, they're able to start the process of managing emotions more effectively. So take a look. This scale that you see right now on the screen is the exact copy that's in that free downloadable. And like I said, there's like 6 different tools in there, so you're going to want to grab that right now or at the end of this video. But when you look at this emotion scale, you'll notice a couple of different things. First of all, you'll notice it's a very familiar scale, 1 to 10. And 1 being everything's fine, 10 being everything's not so fine. And there's some familiar emoji faces that kids can easily relate to. But then there's that green and red line and those brains on the side too. I want to talk about all of that in this video so you know exactly how you can use this with your child and empower them with the right language that'll help them as they start experiencing different emotions. So right away, you want to help your child get familiar with the emoji faces, because those are real tangible to a kid, and help your child understand that when you're feeling just fine, you're at like a 1, and it's not so important that your child can identify if they're a 3 or a 4 or a 7 or an 8. It's more important really if your kid knows 1, 5, and 10. Really, as long as they can get 1 and 10, we can work with everything in between. But as long as they can identify somewhere between those 3 big ones, 1, 5, and 10, that's important. And let me tell you why those are important. 1 or even 2, your kid's doing fine. They feel great. Nothing really is bothering them. A 2 or 3, maybe something's kind of frustrating them. Someone took their toy and they really wanted it or something like that. But they're feeling all right, but something's bothering them. 10, we've seen 10. If you're watching this video, you're probably watching it because you've got a kid who's shown you 10 already. So we probably don't need to describe 10 for ourselves, but you're going to want to describe 10 for your child. And you can use the faces to help you explain to your child what you see, what's going on with their body. It's important for kids to understand body language, because when they understand body language, it helps them understand themselves. It also helps them be able to read other people as well, and that's an important life skill that your child's going to need. So you can start off by asking your child, what happens to your body when you're at a 1? What happens to your body when you're at a 10? And start talking about that. Talk about how their face crumples up a lot, how their eyebrows go down a lot, or they grit their teeth, or their shoulders go up, or their hands start to go together. They feel that tenseness. Talk about that. And if you see that with your child, if your child's struggling with that, say, uh-oh, I'm starting to notice your body starting to tense up. It's sort of like an early warning signal you're giving your child. When you start seeing them get frustrated, you can kind of help them know, like, I see this happening. It's important, and we want to use this scale to help our children start detecting earlier on in the process of when they're starting to struggle with these emotions. Because if we can get them to notice those emotions lower down on the scale, they have a better chance of being successful at having some anger management strategies that they can implement and it'll work quickly. And as we know, a kid or an adult who can manage anger is mightier than one who can conquer a city. So we want to help them be mighty conquerors for sure. So we want to first start off by comparing these different faces and understanding their own bodies, what their body feels like and looks like when they're calm, when they're struggling a bit, and when they're really angry. And that's kind of like the when they're calm, when they're struggling a bit, and when they're really angry, right? 1, 5, and 10, like that. And we want to relate those to at least the 3 numbers I keep mentioning, 1, 5, and 10. Now, what's up with the brains and that red and green line? Well, this starts to get into what's really happening inside your child as well. You see, when we're experiencing emotions in our hearts, biologically, there's a lot happening. Not just our bodies are tensing up and feeling this way, but even in our brain, something's going on. And this is a story you can give your kids too. You know, you've probably heard this story already. It's somewhere in some other video. I've got another video on it probably somewhere. But your brain is sort of like your fist here. And this is your brain right here. And your brain, we always talk about left brain and right brain individuals. I want to talk about upper brain and lower brain. So this is going to represent our upper brain. This is going to represent our lower brain. You know, we can even use the fancy term with kids, your amygdala, right down here. Now, we need both parts of our brain to do this, and both parts are important. Your lower brain is not the bad part, and upper brain the good part. They're both good, but they serve different purposes. So your upper brain is where you can think through problems, where your speech is located, so when you can talk, where you can rationalize and really process things. Your lower brain is where all the emotions are. It's where your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism is. This is the part of your brain that says, oh my gosh, there's trouble! Go do something! Either fight that trouble, run away, flight, or freeze up. You know, that's where your part of your brain, and you need this part to survive. Like, this is a survival piece that we all need. So we don't want to say this is bad. This is not bad. It's just, it's a different part, and it serves a different purpose. But you see, what happens is when we get angry, we flip our lid, right? And we need to kind of calm ourselves back down. That's what's going on inside your brain. You're just sort of like flipping out, and you need to calm back down. Because this guy is trying to take over when we struggle with anger or any type of emotion that's really overcoming us. This is why sometimes when your child gets angry and you ask them a question and they don't answer you, they might not be refusing to answer you. It may actually be that they're so deep into this part of their brain. Remember, speech and talking is up here. They may not physically be able to talk. They're going to need some other strategies to calm down before they're ready to talk about it. We're going to have a couple more videos coming up in a few weeks on those strategies that you can use to help bring this back. So stay tuned for that. But this is why that red and green line and the number 5 is important. When your child is below a 5, there's still, this is happening a little bit, but it's not fully flipped, and they can still talk about the problem. And so there's some different strategies we might use when a child's in the 1 to 5 range. When a child is like a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, when they're up here, there's no use in trying to talk about the problem. Your child is struggling at this point with calming down, and this needs to become the focus of what we do in our work with our child. We need to not focus on let's talk about this problem and solve it. We've got to work on let's calm down so that we can still talk about that problem and solve it as well. But we've got a new problem, and that's we got to calm down. And it's important for your child to start understanding if they are at a point where they can talk about a problem, 1 to 5, or if they've crossed that red line and they're in a zone where they can't talk about it. Just not yet. Now, if they can say, I can't talk about it, they just talked, so they actually can. They're not quite there yet, right? But when a kid goes silent, when you're like, hey, where are you at right now? And they just genuinely aren't answering because they really can't, that's a signal for you that they need some other strategies to help calm down first. So that's where the brain comes in. And we want to give our child this hand story about the brain. So have a little meeting with your kid and print out this emotion scale. Go full color and hang it up somewhere in your house and talk about the faces and the numbers, at least 1, 5, and 10. And then talk about the brain and give them this little story. Talk about how when you start noticing, or when they start noticing these emotions, they want to focus on calming down. Now, like I said, we're going to talk more about calming strategies in an upcoming video to help your child go from just being able to know they're feeling frustrated or angry or sad or whatever the emotion is to actually doing something about it. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button, ring that notifications bell so that you get notified the instant that next video comes out. This emotion scale is a great tool for raising children's awareness about their emotions, how deeply they feel those emotions, and what's going on in their body and brain. So you want to make sure to go down to the description right now and click that link so you can get your free copy of this and get those other tools that are all in that downloadable that's free just for you. So go ahead. Get it in the description. Head over to JesusHelpMeParent.com if you want as well. You can check out other resources we have there. And also, don't forget to hit that like button. And in the comments, let me know, what emotion does your kid or kids you see and know struggle with the most? I'd love to understand what emotions your kids are struggling with. I can even make some videos that relate directly to those. In the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you real soon. Bye, everyone.